Hi girls! Welcome to Tiana's Kitchen yet again. Today we are going to make an apple crumble as requested by, I believe, Roselle. So we're going to do that. I'm going to make a half portion today because I don't want to eat a ton of apple crumble. But if you want, then I will post the half recipe that I'm doing, and then I'll also post the full recipe, so it's double, so it's a lot more. And that way, if you want to make a big portion, you can do that one. If you want to make a smaller portion like I'm going to do, then you can do that one. But it's the same technique that you're going to do for the recipe. All right, so let's go over here. So here I have chopped up 4 apples. So you don't need to skin them if you don't want to. I skinned some of the ones where the skin was getting like a little old. I used all my older apples in the house. It's really good for just getting rid of apples that aren't as fresh anymore. So I cut those all up into little squares. I peeled some of them I left. So that's the first step. You're just gonna peel some of your apples if you want, and then chop it and then throw it into a bowl and you're good. So do that however you would like, but with small little squares. Our next step is going to be to add brown sugar into our apples. So brown sugar, we're gonna do 1/4 cup. So a 1/4 cup measurement. And I'm gonna grab my brown sugar here. A big bucket of brown sugar. And then I'm just gonna pat it down, make sure it's packed. Level it out. You can use a knife as well. Level it out, and then we'll just put our brown sugar into there. Close it up for now. Our next step is going to be to add some flour into this mixture as well. So you can use all-purpose white flour, but for me being, I guess, a healthy person, as Dr. Ash would call it, we are going to use oat flour, just because this is just ground up oats, so it's actually a little bit healthier for you, but you can just use regular all-purpose flour. That's what the recipe calls for anyways. So for this, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons. So this is actually a 1.5 tablespoons measurement, so I do a little bit less. So again, just a little bit less because mine is different. Next thing we're gonna add is some cinnamon. Cinnamon is awesome. I love cinnamon, so we're gonna do that. So we got here, we're doing, it says, okay, so we're gonna do 1/2 teaspoon. 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. All right, make sure it's nice and level. Very good. Cinnamon it up. And actually, I like cinnamon, so I'm actually just gonna add a little pinch of more because I love cinnamon. And then nutmeg. Nutmeg, we are going to add 1/4 teaspoon. Just 1/2, 1/4 teaspoon. Make sure that's nice and level. Add that in there. And then we are going to do just a pinch of salt. So I'm gonna just take a nice pinch and drop her in there. Next up is our vanilla extract. And we are going to put 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. So we got my 1/2 teaspoon. Pour it in there, ta-da. And our last thing is lemon juice. Lemon juice. So we want to do 1/2 tablespoon of lemon juice. However, I do not have 1/2 tablespoon. I only have this 1.5 tablespoons. But if you have a 1/2 tablespoon measurement, use it, or fill up your tablespoon measurement halfway. But I'm just gonna do like a little bit here. So I'm just gonna fill mine up a little bit. That should be enough. Okay, And now we're going to mix this guy up. I'm gonna grab my spatula, and we're just gonna mix in our apples. Our apples and our sugar, lather it on there. Beautiful. And our flour. Just cover the apples with all that sugar and cinnamon. Make them nice and lovely. Okay. And then, after this step, we are going to take our baking spray. I'm going to spray it into our pan. So I have this small little like brownie pan almost that I'm going to use. We're just going to spray a little bit on there. Beautiful. That way it does not stick. And then we're going to throw in our apples. I'm gonna just put our apples in there. All right. I'm just gonna make sure it's nice and mixed. Saw a little bit of flour on there. All right. Perfect size. Beautiful. All right, so nice, lots of apples. Okay, bring it back over here. And now we need to make the topping. And actually, I don't think I even need this second bowl that I thought I needed. Our topping, we need half a cup of flour this time. So I'm gonna use 2/4 of a cup. Where did I put that? So I have my 1/4 of a cup. I'm just gonna do 2 of those because that will be a half of a cup. As I feel like I've said before, I do not have a half a cup measurement, which is hard to work with, but just gotta do double. All right, half a cup of flour. And then we're gonna do our oats. So I have my large flake oats here. Quaker, well, it's not large flake, it's just Quaker 1 minute oats, but it will do. And we're going to do 3/4 of a cup. So I have my 1/4 measurement. I'm gonna just shake it, and I'm gonna do this 3 times. So 3/4 of a cup. 2 and 3. Beautiful. Our next step is going to be more brown sugar for our topping. So for our brown sugar, we're going to use half a cup. So I'm gonna fill this one up again. All right, 1/4 of a cup. And then times it by 2, so half a cup. Beautiful, half a cup. Beauty about this kind of recipe is that you don't need to be super precise. Just because there's no it doesn't need to rise like muffins and things like that. It's just, you throw it all together, lots of sugar is gonna taste good. All right, so our next step is half a teaspoon of cinnamon. So I'm just gonna rinse and dry this measurement one off so that I don't get the cinnamon all wet because I used it to measure the vanilla as well. So half a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon cinnamon. Beautiful. And then we're also going to do half a teaspoon again of vanilla. Another half a teaspoon of vanilla. Beautiful. Last thing is our butter. So this here, I have 1/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons, and I melted it. All right, so I just threw my measured butter into here and I just melted it. So after that, after you melt your butter on this, I just measured it in the stove. You can melt it in the microwave, whatever. You're just gonna pour that bad boy into here. I'm using vegan butter, obviously, but you can just use regular old butter. And you're just gonna mix your topping. Make sure it's nice and crumbly. Your flour's all mixed in, so there's no like super dry parts. This is gonna be a great dessert later. I'm super excited. You know, I hope that you guys are actually making these. I want to start seeing pictures of you guys making these, because that would be great. If we could just have pictures of everything. All right. So, next step for our crumble. We're gonna take all of this. We're just gonna take it with our hands. Obviously wash your hands first, make sure I did. And you're just gonna crumble it on top. Hence the apple crumble. We made the apple and now we're doing the crumble. All right, beautiful. Crumble it. Oh, this looks good. I'm glad I only did half a portion, because this is actually quite a lot. This is enough for, well, at least it's enough for 1 night or 2 nights of dessert, that's for sure. Okay, almost there. Also too, you can start by preheating your oven to 350. So make sure your oven's preheated at this point, unless you want to wait, whatever, but it'd be handy to preheat your oven. All right, so I have not preheated my oven yet, but I'm going to. And then once my oven's preheated, I'm going to throw it in the oven. And for, how long does this recipe say? 50 minutes. So this takes almost an hour. So 50 minutes of baking time. And then you're gonna do 10 minutes to just let it cool. And then serve it up with like ice cream. And just enjoy this beautiful apple crumble. Next is going to be banana bread or brownies. We'll see whatever comes next. Catch you later.